Hey, buddy, hit that subscribe. Just a sec for you, but it means the world to me. After the funeral was over and the casserole stopped coming, reality hit me like a brick. The life insurance barely covered the service, and suddenly I was standing alone in a quiet house that felt way too big and way too empty. 42 years of marriage, gone just like that. I was 63 years old, living in Medford, Oregon, staring at a future I never planned for. I'd been a school teacher most of my life. It paid the bills, but it didn't exactly leave me rolling in cash. My pension was enough when there were two of us. Alone? Not even close. So for the first time since my early 20s, I had a job hunt. Pride swallowed. Nerves shot. I ended up working evenings at Riverside Medical Center in the billing department. 3 nights a week. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Nothing fancy, just codes, claims, and fluorescent lights. But it kept my mind busy. Kept me from staring at the empty chair at my dinner table. My shift ended at 11:30 p.m. for years, and I always caught the last bus home. That routine saved me, until September rolled around and the city cut costs. The last bus now left at 11 o'clock, a full 30 minutes before my shift ended. Leaving early meant losing pay I couldn't afford to lose. So I did what my daughter had been bugging me to do for months. I opened a rideshare app she'd already installed on my phone. That's how I met him. The first night, I almost backed out. It was late. The hospital parking lot was dim, and the silver Toyota pulling up didn't exactly scream safe. The driver looked mid to late 50s, tired eyes, gray sneaking into his hair. But his rating? 5 stars. Every review glowing. So I took a breath, climbed into the back seat, and gave him my address on Cedar Street. Long shift? He asked, calm voice, no edge to it. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I said, watching the streetlights blur past. Been driving about 3 years, he said. Mill shut down. This keeps the lights on. Something about the way he said it made me really look at him in the mirror. That familiar, worn-down look. The kind you only get when life knocks you flat, and you stand back up because what choice do you have? I'm sorry, I said quietly. He blinked, surprised. Most folks don't say that. My name's Carol. I told him. Raymond, he replied, and for just a second, I saw a real smile. After that, things got strange. In a good way. 3 nights a week, I requested a ride. 3 nights a week, Raymond accepted. Same car, same calm voice, same timing. By the 3rd week, it was obvious. He was waiting near the hospital around 11:20 just to make sure he got my request. We fell into a rhythm. He already had my address pulled up. I'd sink into the seat, mentally fried from insurance codes, and we'd talk. Nothing deep at first. Weather, traffic, random nonsense. But over time, the conversations got real. He told me his wife had left 2 years earlier, worn down by money problems. His daughter went with her. He lived alone now, driving 6 days a week, sometimes 12 hours a day. One granddaughter, he said one night, never met her, just pictures. Without thinking, I reached forward and squeezed his shoulder. She'll come around. Babies do that. He didn't answer right away, just nodded. I started tipping him a little extra. Not a lot, just enough to say I noticed. He tried to refuse, but I shut that down fast. You're getting me home safe, I told him. That matters. Truth was, those rides became the best part of my week. He didn't rush me, didn't talk over me, didn't treat me like some old lady taking up space. He listened, and sometimes that's everything. By November, I started bringing him coffee from the hospital cafeteria. The first time I handed it over, he looked at it like it was a winning lottery ticket. You didn't have to do that, he said. I know, I smiled. But night shift coffee is trash, and you need it more than I do. From then on, coffee was our thing. Quiet drives through Medford. 2 cups. 2 tired people sharing stories. I told him about my husband, about learning how to sleep alone. He told me about the passengers he picked up, drunks, dreamers, people falling apart in the backseat of his car. You're a good person, Carol, he said one night, and it hit harder than I expected. December came fast. Cold mornings. Christmas lights in the hospital halls, trying their best to fake warmth. I switched from coffee to hot chocolate and taped a candy cane to the cup one night. Raymond laughed, but his eyes went distant. My wife used to do stuff like that, he said. You notice it now. I replied, that counts. Then came the night that changed everything. December 14th, Thursday. Raymond picked me up like always, but something was off. His hands were tight on the wheel. He kept checking the mirror. Not friendly. Focused. Carol, he said, pulling away from the hospital. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be straight with me. My stomach dropped. Okay. The guy who lives a few houses down from you. Gray place. Red truck. You know him? I frowned. Thomas? Not really. We wave. Why? Instead of answering, Raymond turned the wrong way. Raymond, I said, heart racing. Where are we going? Somewhere we can talk, he said. You need to listen real close to what I'm about to say. And that's when fear really set in. I had no idea that a simple ride home, a cup of cheap coffee, and one small act of kindness had just put me at the center of something dark and dangerous. What Raymond told me next would change my life forever. Raymond didn't stop driving until we pulled into the empty parking lot of an old grocery store that had shut down years ago. The place was dead quiet, just one flickering light buzzing overhead. He put the car in park, but didn't turn off the engine. His jaw was tight, like he was bracing himself. Carol, he said, turning around in his seat, what I'm about to tell you is going to freak you out, but I swear on everything, I'm not messing with you. My hands were already shaking. Raymond, you're scaring me. I know. I hate that, but you need to hear this. He took a breath, slow and heavy. I picked up your neighbor, Thomas Brennan, last Saturday night, around 10:30. My heart skipped. Okay? He was hammered, slurring, loud, and drunk people. Raymond shook his head. They talk way too much. I leaned back against the seat, trying to stay calm. What did he say? At first, nothing that mattered, Raymond said. Just yelling at someone on the phone. Money stuff, angry stuff. I was tuning it out. Then I heard your name. My chest tightened. My name? Yeah, he nodded. Clear as day. Carol. And then your address. Your exact address. The air felt thick, like it was pressing down on me. That doesn't make sense. I barely know him. Raymond swallowed hard. That's not even the worst part. He pulled his phone from the center console and unlocked it. His hands weren't steady anymore. He said, and I'm quoting him here, the old lady at 847 is going to be a problem. She's seeing too much. We got to handle it before she goes to the cops. I swear the world tilted. My ears rang. Handle it. I whispered. What does that even mean? That's what scared me, Raymond said. So I started paying attention. He scrolled through his phone and turned the screen toward me. A notes app, dates, times, addresses. I've picked him up 7 times this past month. Always late, always drunk, always talking about the same stuff. My throat went dry. About me? About you, he said quietly. Your house, your schedule, how you work late 3 nights a week. Ice ran straight through my veins. That's impossible. I thought maybe I was reading too much into it, Raymond admitted, until 2 nights ago. I looked at him, barely breathing. What happened? I was driving home after a long shift, he said. Took Cedar Street as a shortcut. It was almost 2 in the morning. My heart started pounding so loud I could hear in my ears. I saw his truck, Raymond continued, parked a couple houses down from yours. Lights off, engine running. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Last night, he went on, voice tighter now, I drove by again before picking you up. His truck was parked right in front of your place. I grabbed the edge of the seat. Raymond, what are you saying? I saw him get out, he said. Walk up to your front door. Try the handle. I felt sick. He tried my door? Yeah, Raymond said. Jiggled it. looked in your windows, stood there for almost a full minute. Then he went back to his truck and just watched your house. Tears blurred my vision. Why? I haven't done anything to him. I don't think it's personal, Raymond said. I think you're in the way of something. He reached back and handed me his phone. These are all my notes. Every ride. Everything he said. I think you need to go to the police. My fingers trembled as I held the phone. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I wasn't sure, he admitted. I didn't want to scare you over nothing. But tonight, after seeing him at your door, I couldn't stay quiet. I stared at the screen, my life suddenly feeling fragile. I can't go home, I whispered. No, Raymond said firmly. You absolutely cannot. Where am I supposed to go? A hotel, a friend's place. Your daughter's if you can. Anywhere but Cedar Street. I shook my head. I'll go to the police in the morning. No. Raymond snapped, sharper than I'd ever heard him. We go now. Raymond, it's almost midnight. He tried your door tonight, he cut in, while you were at work. What if he comes back? What if he has a spare key? Carol, I'm not letting you brush this off. Silence stretched between us. He was right. I knew it. Okay, I finally said, take me to the police station. Raymond exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for an hour. Good. That's the right call. As we pulled out of the empty lot, fear settled deep in my bones. A man I'd waved at for years. A neighbor. Someone I never thought twice about. And now, thanks to a rideshare driver who actually listened, I was realizing something was very, very wrong. I thought the police would tell us it was nothing. Just drunken nonsense. I had no idea that what we were about to uncover would be far worse and tied directly to my job. The Medford Police Department was quiet in that eerie after-hours way. Fluorescent lights, empty chairs, a young officer at the desk who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. That changed fast once Raymond started talking. Within minutes, we were moved into a small interview room. Cold metal table, 2 chairs, a recorder blinking red. An older detective stepped in, silver hair, sharp eyes, the kind that missed nothing. Start from the beginning, he said. So I did. I told him about my routine, my job at Riverside, my schedule, my neighbor, how I barely knew him. Raymond followed up with his notes, sliding his phone across the table like it weighed 100 pounds. These are time stamps? The detective asked. Yes, sir, Raymond replied. Every ride, every date. I started writing stuff down after the second time he mentioned her address. The detective scrolled slowly, then looked up. You're certain about the wording? Handle it. Positive, Raymond said. Actually, I recorded the rides. That snapped the room to attention. You recorded him? The younger officer asked. For safety, Raymond said calmly. Passengers agreed to it in the app. It's in the terms. The detective nodded once. Let's hear it. When the audio played, I felt like I was listening to someone else's nightmare. Thomas Brennan's voice, slurred, angry, careless, filled the room, talking about me, my house, my schedule, complaining that I saw too much. I wrapped my arms around myself, fighting the urge to bolt. When the recording ended, the detective leaned back, jaw tight. Mrs. Carroll, do you have any idea why he thinks you're a problem? No, I said quickly. I go to work. I come home. That's it. I don't snoop. I don't even talk to the man. The detective exchanged a look with the younger officer, then said something that made my blood run cold. He works at Riverside Medical Center. I blinked. What? Maintenance, he continued. Night shift. The room felt like it started shrinking. No, I've never seen him there. There are over 400 employees, the detective said. Easy to miss people. But my mind was already racing. A memory surfaced. Someone I passed in the basement hallway. Late nights. A janitor with a cart. Baseball cap pulled low. I'd never looked twice. The basement, I said slowly. That's where billing is. The detective nodded. That's his assigned area. My stomach dropped. He has access to records. Silence slammed into the room. Record storage? The detective asked. Yes, I whispered. And something's been wrong. Both officers leaned in. 3 weeks ago, we noticed missing patient files. I said, words tumbling out now. Billing was processed, but physical records were gone. Elderly patients. Medicaid cases. We assumed it was a filing error. The detective's face darkened. Or fraud. My heart sank. We've been doing an audit. And you're part of that audit, the younger officer said. It all clicked at once. The watching, the schedule, the door handle. Oh my God, I breathed. He thinks I'm onto him. He works nights, Raymond said quietly. Same night she does. The detective stood abruptly. We need a warrant. Now. Things moved fast after that. Too fast to process. Another officer drove me to a hotel under police watch. Raymond stayed behind to give more statements. As I sat alone in that generic room, every sound in the hallway made me jump. At 6 a.m., my phone rang. We found them, the detective said. Over 300 stolen files. Fraud evidence. He's under arrest. Relief hit first, then fear, then anger. Raymond picked me up later that morning. No app, no charge. Just showed up. How did you know to pay attention? I asked quietly. He didn't answer right away. Because I didn't once, he finally said. And that's when he told me about his daughter and the mistake that cost him everything. Raymond's past held a secret that explained everything, and what he told me next would change how I saw him forever. Raymond drove in silence at first. The city was waking up slowly, fog hugging the streets, headlights cutting through the mist. I could feel his tension pressing against the back of my neck. Finally, he spoke. Carol, I owe you the truth, he said, voice low, almost hesitant. Before I drove, I wanted to tell you about my daughter. I leaned back, unsure what to expect. Your daughter? He took a deep breath. She's the reason I'm like this. A couple years back, I made a mistake. Big one. My ex-wife left with her, and I lost her. Didn't see her for months. I got distracted, started working too much, trying to forget, trying to survive. I was reckless. I stayed quiet, letting him continue. One night, a passenger, someone I should have helped, slipped through cracks. Ended up in trouble because I didn't check properly. She got hurt. That was on me. He swallowed hard. I can't take it back, but I can try to do right now. That's why I pay attention. That's why I noticed Thomas. I didn't want anyone else hurt because of his stupidity or my mistakes. I felt my chest tighten. The man who had been my calm in the chaos, the driver I trusted, was haunted. Haunted enough to stay vigilant for a stranger's mistakes, enough to protect me without me even knowing. Raymond, I started, my voice trembling. You didn't have to do all this for me. He shook his head. Yeah, I did. I'm not proud. But you? You don't deserve this. Nobody does. For a moment, the car was filled with the hum of the engine and distant traffic. Then he glanced at me, a rare softness in his eyes. Carol, I need to know something. I frowned. What's that? If this hadn't happened, if Thomas hadn't been a total creep, would I have ever had the guts to admit my past to anyone? I laughed softly, despite myself. I guess you got lucky that Thomas is a moron. He cracked a small smile. Yeah, lucky us. The rest of the ride was quiet, but not uncomfortable. It was reflective. We both knew the world could be cruel, that mistakes lingered, but for the first time, it felt like there was a shield around us, a mutual understanding forged in fear, honesty, and coffee. When we finally pulled up outside my hotel, I reached across and squeezed his hand. Thanks. For everything. He nodded. Stay safe. I'll check in tomorrow. Same time. And then he drove off, leaving me staring at the street, wondering how much the world would change tomorrow, and if maybe this strange connection was only just beginning. I thought the nightmare was over. But the moment Raymond drove away, a shadow moved across the hotel lot, and I realized Thomas wasn't done. and neither was a danger lurking closer than I could imagine. That I barely slept that night. Every creak in the hotel, every car in the lot felt like it was stalking me. My phone buzzed with text from Raymond around 6:30 a.m. Everything under control. Don't freak. Breakfast. I wanted to scream in relief. But even as I typed back, a strange feeling crawled down my spine. Something was off. By 8 a.m., I was dressed and ready, trying to act casual, like a normal person heading out. Breakfast was quiet. Raymond showed up, coffee in hand, like nothing had changed, but the look on his face told me otherwise. "Stay sharp," he muttered, sliding into the booth. "Already am," I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled out his phone and handed it to me. On the screen was a photo, Thomas, leaning against a lamppost outside the hotel, phone in hand, staring directly at me. "Holy, he's right there." I whispered, heart pounding. "Yeah," Raymond said calmly, "and he's been there for the last 20 minutes. I've been watching from the corner." I tried to think fast. "So, what do we do? Police?" Raymond shook his head. "Not yet. We don't know what he's planning, but I got an idea." He glanced around, checking the lot, then leaned closer. "We bait him. Make him think you're alone and unprotected. But it's a trap. You follow me, you stick to my plan, you stay alive." My stomach did a flip. "Ray, this is insane." "You think I don't know that?" He shot back. "But trust me, you need to see he's not untouchable." We walked out together, slow, careful. I stayed behind him, shadowing every step. Thomas hadn't moved, still leaning casually, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. The second he spotted Raymond approaching from an angle he hadn't anticipated, his face tightened. "Raymond," he barked. "What the hell?" "Stay calm," Raymond whispered to me. Thomas started to run, but the moment he did, Raymond pulled out his phone and hit a speed dial. Within minutes, police cars screeched in from both ends of the lot. Thomas froze, panic overtaking drunken bravado. By the time he realized he was surrounded, it was over. Arrested, handcuffed, shouting, angry, defeated. I felt my knees go weak. We did it." Raymond smiled, exhausted. "Yeah, for now. But, Carol, this isn't the end. Stuff like this has a way of popping back up. You gotta be careful." I nodded, still trembling. I can't believe that just happened." He reached over and squeezed my hand. "Believe it. You're stronger than you think. And lucky. Some people don't make it out of this kind of mess." As the police drove him away, I realized how close I had been to disaster. How a stranger, someone I barely knew, had saved me not just once, but twice. And in the back of my mind, I knew it wasn't just about Thomas anymore. Something bigger was simmering beneath the surface. And Raymond, he knew it. I thought Thomas was the worst I'd face. But as I walked back to the hotel, I noticed a black SUV parked across the street. No plates, engine running. And I had the sinking feeling that the real threat was just getting started. The black SUV didn't move. Not when I stepped out of the hotel. Not when I glanced over my shoulder. Not even when I hesitated at the crosswalk. My gut screamed danger. I called Raymond immediately. No answer. Text ignored. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the phone. Finally, a call came through, his voice calm but urgent. "Carol, get inside. Don't move. Stay low. Lock every door." I did exactly that, heart hammering. I peeked through the blinds, and sure enough, the SUV sat there, engine idling like some predator, waiting. Minutes stretched into an hour. Every sound outside, the wind, distant traffic, footsteps, made me jump. I felt like prey in a horror movie, except this was real. Then my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. "We know you saw him. Stop snooping, or next time it won't be just a warning." I swallowed hard, hands trembling. That chilling certainty that someone was watching me, someone who knew my every move, hit me like ice water. Raymond called back. "Carol, I've got a plan. You're not safe there. You're going to leave through the back. I'll meet you at the warehouse on Industrial Way. Don't hesitate. Don't argue. Go. Warehouse. I whispered, fear twisting my stomach. Trust me, he said. It's the only way to make sure you stay alive. And Carol, don't look back. I grabbed a small bag, shoving essentials inside, my pulse racing with every second. As I slipped out the back door, I could feel the SUV's gaze on me. Shadows stretched long in the streetlights. I ran down the alley, breath ragged, trying to stay calm. Every step felt like it echoed in the night. And then I heard it, a low engine, a vehicle moving behind me, keeping pace. I turned my head slightly. The SUV had started following. Just as panic began to grip me, a figure stepped out from the shadows ahead. Raymond, his coat flapped in the wind, eyes sharp, hand on the side of his jacket, like he was ready for anything. Go. Now, he yelled. I sprinted toward him. We jumped into his car, tires screeching as we pulled away. The SUV followed for a few blocks. Then suddenly, it vanished. I slumped in my seat, chest heaving, mind racing. What the hell is going on, Raymond? Who are these people? He shook his head, jaw tight. Carol, this goes deeper than just Thomas. Someone's watching Riverside, watching the audit, and they've got eyes on you because you stumbled into it. You're collateral. I blinked. Collateral? You mean I'm in the middle of something bigger? He didn't answer immediately, just kept driving, eyes scanning the road. Finally, he muttered, and if we're not careful, it's going to get worse. A lot worse. The night stretched ahead of us like a black sea, filled with unknown threats and unseen eyes. And I realized that my life, my quiet little world, was gone forever. I thought I had escaped danger. But as Raymond drove faster, I noticed headlights in the rearview mirror, closing in, and I knew, deep down, that the real nightmare was only just beginning. The headlights behind us stayed glued to the rearview mirror. No weaving, no hesitation, just steady, intentional pressure. That's not random traffic. I whispered. Raymond didn't look back. Nope. Buckle up. He took a sharp right, then another, cutting through back roads most people didn't even know existed. I gripped the seat as the car swayed, my heart beating so hard I thought it might crack my ribs. Industrial way is blocked, he muttered. Change of plans. Raymond, I've got this, he said, but for the first time, I heard fear in his voice. The headlights closed in, then sirens. Red and blue lights exploded in the mirrors like fireworks. The SUV tried to peel off, but 2 patrol cars boxed in from both sides. Another squad came flying in from behind. It was over in seconds. Raymond pulled to the curb, hands shaking now. Mine weren't any better. We watched as officers dragged 2 men out of the SUV. Not Thomas. Suits. Cold faces. One of them locked eyes with me, and I felt my stomach drop. These aren't amateurs, Raymond said quietly. A familiar voice cut through the chaos. The same detective from before. Mrs. Carroll, he said, approaching. You okay? I nodded, barely able to speak. These men were connected to a larger fraud ring, he continued. Medical billing, record manipulation. Thomas was small time. You were about to blow the whole thing open. I let out a shaky laugh. All because I stayed late at work? All because you noticed things, the detective said. And because someone paid attention when it mattered. He glanced at Raymond. 2 weeks later, life finally slowed down. The audit went public. Charges were filed. The hospital cleaned house. I was moved a day's shift, given a small bonus, and a lot of apologies. I didn't go back to Cedar Street. Sold the house. Too many memories. Too many shadows. Raymond picked me up one last time. Not for work. Not because I was scared. Coffee. We sat in a diner off the highway. Sun pouring through the windows like it was trying to make up for everything we'd been through. You ever regret driving that night? I asked. He shook his head. Nah. Best decision I ever made. He told me his daughter called him after the arrests. She'd seen the story on the news. Said she was proud of him. Said maybe they could talk. I smiled so hard it hurt. As he dropped me off, he stayed in the car a moment longer. Carol, he said, you saved yourself I just drove. I shook my head. You listened? That's rarer than you think. He smiled, real this time. As I walked inside, I realized something powerful. Sometimes, the people who save us aren't heroes. They're just tired souls who decide to care one more time. And sometimes, the last ride changes everything. If you think kindness doesn't matter, remember this. 1 cup of bad coffee, 1 late-night ride, and 2 strangers who refuse to look away.